Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the regular meeting of Osoyoos Town Council, Tuesday, September the 9th, 2025 at 2 p.m. in Council Chambers. Before we start, could I make sure that everyone has turned their phones to silent, please? That includes people around the table too, of course. But could everybody turn their phones off? Thank you. So we will call this meeting to order, and I need a approval of the agenda, and there are no late items. Everything's been included in the agenda. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Bennett, Councillor Chong, all in favor. Thank you. And the adoption of the regular open meetings minutes of August the 12th, 2025. Could we have a motion to adopt those, please? Councillor King, Councillor Poderica, all in favor. Thank you. Councillor King is online with us. First off, today we have a public hearing, and I will start with notes from the chair. We're okay? This is a public hearing pertaining to amendments to the town's official community plan, OCP, zoning, municipal ticket information, MTI, bylaw notice enforcement, BNE, bylaws related to the regulation of short-term rental accommodation, STRs. In accordance with Section 464 of the Local Government Act, this public hearing is convened to allow interested parties to make representation to Council respecting Official Community Plan Amendment Bylaw number 1375.07, 2025, and the Zoning Amendment Bylaw number 1395.04, 2025. Every person present who believes that their interests are affected by the proposed bylaws will be given a reasonable opportunity to be heard. We will hear from staff on the matter, then receive public input, then Council will deliberate the issue before the public hearing adjourns. So could I ask for a presentation from staff or the applicant, please? Ms. Duong, please go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. I've just got a brief presentation to assist those that are attending today. So as mentioned, this is a public hearing with respect to the short-term rental regulation review, specifically in regards to Official Community Plan Amendment Bylaw 1375.07 and Zoning Amendment Bylaw number 1395.04. With respect to some background, the zoning bylaw defines short-term rental accommodations as the use of a residential dwelling unit for the temporary commercial accommodation of paying guests for a period of less than 1 month, but excludes a bed and breakfast operation. The short-term rental accommodations have historically been prohibited within the town, with the exception of those short-term rental accommodations that are provided within resort residential buildings in the resort commercial zone. As part of the town's last OCP review, policy was introduced with respect to the regulation of short-term rentals to provide that option for tourist accommodations while also protecting the long-term rental housing stock. Policy was also introduced at that time, which spoke to considering the implementation of a short-term rental permitting process to regulate the use of residential properties for commercial purposes. Additionally, the OCP supports a wide variety of ownership and rental structures to allow for tourist accommodation facilities within the tourist commercial designation, and that would include things like rental pools and short-term rentals. Now, further to the policy direction that was set out in the official community plan, the short-term rental or STR regulation review project was originally initiated by Council back in 2022 with the purpose of exploring options to incorporate short-term rentals in a way that balances both positive and negative impacts of such uses within the town. One of the options had involved the establishment of a short-term rental pilot program, which is the option that was ultimately pursued by the town. Now, the short-term rental pilot program was intended to be a 2 to 3 year trial period wherein short-term rental accommodations are permitted within the small-scale multi-unit residential or RS1 zone, and that could take place within a principal dwelling unit such as a single detached dwelling, or could take place within a secondary suite or accessory dwelling unit. As part of this pilot program, there would be an establishment of new requirements that applicants would have to demonstrate that they meet basic health and safety considerations, as well as providing adequate on-site parking and complying with the provincial principal residence requirement. Although there are a number of amendment bylaws that are required to be passed in order to implement the STR pilot program in full, this public hearing does relate, as mentioned previously, specifically to the OCP and zoning amendments. So with respect to Official Community Plan Amendment Bylaw number 1375.07, this bylaw proposes to introduce new policies that relate to the regulation of short-term rentals under Section 6 of the Official Community Plan Bylaw. It is proposed that new policies be introduced which support short-term rentals on low-density residential lands as designated under the OCP, where they are operated in accordance with zoning. So that would be in a single detached dwelling, accessory dwelling, or suite on the operator's principal residence. Additionally, policy is being proposed which would support short-term rentals on tourist accommodation designated lands, and as mentioned, within resort residential buildings. These policies would also discourage short-term rentals within apartment buildings and townhouses as it relates to challenges with the provision of parking. It would also discourage the use of residential dwellings as tourist accommodations, which are different than short-term rentals. And it also supports the review of short-term rentals to understand the impacts on housing affordability and supply, while also ensuring that the program is run under a cost recovery model. As it relates to zoning amendment bylaw number 1395.04, this bylaw proposes to introduce short-term rental accommodation as a permitted use within the small-scale multi-unit residential or RS1 zone, as well as the agriculture zone. In terms of new STR accommodation specific use regulations, this bylaw is proposing to introduce a new requirement which would cap short-term rentals to a maximum of 2 patrons per bedroom. It would also stipulate that a short-term rental can only be undertaken where there isn't already a bed and breakfast on site. And for those parcels within the agricultural land reserve, the proposed short-term rental must be consistent with the ALC Act and its regulations, or where it is not, the ALC has otherwise already granted an approval where required. And lastly, this amendment bylaw does propose to introduce a new off-street parking requirement of 1 space per sleeping unit, being a bedroom, for STR accommodation uses. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Duong. We will now move to the public input part of this public hearing. And we have written representations received from February to April 2025 were circulated with the agenda, and new representations have been received, and there are 2 of them, and they are included in the agenda today. Thank you. So I will now call upon those who have registered to speak. When your name is called, please start by stating your name and address. Then you will be provided with 5 minutes to speak. Please state whether you are for or against the OCP and zoning amendments and your reasons why. Each speaker may only speak once. Note that council may only hear comments directly related to the proposed OCP and zoning bylaw amendments. We are not here to discuss other things, just these 2. If speakers discuss matters that do not pertain to the proposed bylaws, they will be interrupted and asked to restrict their comments to the bylaws. We ask that others in attendance be respectful of proper meeting conduct by not applauding or speaking out of turn. I will start with those in person, then we will hear from those online if there is anyone there. So I'm going to start with the speakers list, and the first person is Eileen McGinn. Would you come up to the microphone, please?
Hi, my name is Eileen McGinn, 94110 36th Avenue, Southwest. Or no, that's Calgary. Sorry. Anyway, I'd just like to address the amendments that they've made. I think some of them have really good impact. The thing that I just wanted to speak to that kind of points out is in the real estate industry, the lack of not having them, I think has really impacted not only the real estate market, because we've got a lot of houses that were people that maybe came from Vancouver at 55 years of age and they wanted to buy a home, say up at the golf course. And they, were planning to short-term rental it during the summertime, wintertime, maybe snowbirds. Those homes now are on the market for sale. We've got right now in Osoyoos 407 properties for sale in the town of Osoyoos. That's just the town of Osoyoos, not the regional district. That's well over 12% of the actual property. So I think not having them has impacted. I think any changes that you make have been an improvement, because the other side of the coin is I've been in a lot of these places that were short-term rentals that were very scary. And when I say that, my daughter looked after one property, it doesn't matter where it was, but it was in the town of Osoyoos, had several bedrooms in it, one with a king bed, one with 2 queen beds. She called me one time, Mom, come help me, you need to help me change the sheets. And I had to go over there, and one room had no windows and had 2 sets of bunk beds in it. Another home that I was into had no windows in rooms that people were renting out. So I think that it's really, really important that the community and the council are addressing a lot of these issues with safety and fire issues that that we have never really looked at before. So anything that we do to improve it, but also looking at the side that the lost revenue that we've had. When I was talking to somebody the other day, I looked at the lost revenue. If you take my daughter's, she's a detective in Calgary. She went to high school here, actually, and she's a homicide detective, and she usually comes out with her kids and 2 kids and her husband, and then they'll rent a place for a month, and then the other partner comes out with his wife and rents it for 2 months. Those places are no longer available. They can't afford to pay $500 and $600 a night at the hotel, so they'll split the costs of a house. So I think there's got to be a fine balance, and I think the council is doing a really good job of trying to find that balance. It's just that I think there's a few more things that we need to address and look at to help make it, number one, safer. We definitely need them in this community because we are a resort community, and find ways to work together and maybe put together a committee. That we used to do this in the town of Osoyoos and have committees that were actually formed with maybe realtors and some of the counselors that can really look at and address some of the issues that you guys have so many things on your plate that you don't always have time to look at and maybe think about. So I thank you for your time this afternoon. Thank you for all the work that you're doing on it, because they are definitely needed in the town, and I approve anything that they've proposed. One last thing on the parking. So if I have a 2-bedroom house, that means I need 2 extra parking along with my own parking lot, correct? Just wanted to point that out. So if you're renting out 2 bedrooms in as a short-term rental under the new proposal, you would now need 3 off-site parking, 1 for yourself and 1 for each bedroom that was available. Okay, thank you very much. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Dawn Schultz.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I'm Don Schultz from Paradise Park. I just wanted to mention something before in regards to the meeting that was held online last week. We had a large TV set up and we had 35 owners watching it. So your numbers of who registered are not exactly who is concerned about what's going on. Okay, so I'll just give you a brief overview of who we are. Paradise Park Homeowners Association is a nonprofit society registered in the province of Alberta. Paradise Park Homeowners Association is made up of 69 individual homeowners who own their lots, which the town has recognized by charging each owner taxes separately on their homes and property. The province has issued homeowner tax rebate for many years and again this year. Thus, in our minds, they recognize that they are our homes. We have a number of homeowners that live full-time in our park, ranging from 80-plus-year-old seniors, some with mobility issues, to people who work in professions in this community, including a contract nurse who works with the seniors in this community, to young families and Indigenous individuals. Our association is made up of a multiple number of park models, which are not RVs and are permanent structures and not mobile. The rest are RVs, and they have all been made permanent on there. By that, I mean the hitches have been removed and the tires and that. So in regards to the homeowners or the short-term rental pilot program, our questions are, and I know that it's not a question and answer time, but our questions to you are, how does the proposed short-term rental pilot program address parcels of land that are currently in a 200-year lease, where individual owners are the lessor and the lessees? And I will give you a copy of these, Mr. Risling. Can the short-term rental pilot program be amended to reflect current actual land use in the community? And what is the timeline for adopting of the short-term rental program? When might it come into effect? If the Paradise Park Owners Association would like to seek site-specific amendments to the bylaw, what does the process entail? Do we request a private meeting with the planning department, the CEO, and/or council? Or do we come to an open public meeting? And when and where? In closing, we understand the need for changes to align with provincial policies. We know how difficult it is to accommodate everybody's requests in a small community or any community. We respect the job that you as council are trying to do and doing for this community. Paradise Park Association is asking that you look at our specific uses that are currently in effect and consider making an amendment so that we can retain what we've always had for years. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Schultz.
Okay.
Could you please give it to our corporate officer? Thank you very much. And the third person on the list is John. Is it Micus? Yes, and Tiffany, it says. Could you please come forward?
At this point, I have nothing to say.
Oh, so you didn't want to speak on this issue. Okay, thank you very much. So those are the three people that I have on the list. And we've heard from all the speakers on the list. Is there anyone else in attendance who has not spoken who wishes to speak? I will ask for a second time. Is there anyone else who has not spoken who wishes to speak? Yes. I do apologize. I didn't know there were any online. God, thank you for reminding me. Could you please, as I don't have it on my list, could you please go through Mrs. Robinson or Mrs. Colson and tell us who is on there and who would be first?
Some of them are just initials. Nobody has their hand up at this moment, but to the people online, please raise your hand if you wish to speak. Otherwise, we have some initials and just first names. Akash. Oh, they just moved around. We have Robert Schmock would like to speak. We have Akash, Andra Jacques, Isabella Bruzillo, just Jay, Joyce Altwasser, Lonnie Lim, Sean Hardman, Spark, and B. Koba. So these may be online names rather than.
All right. So if the first person on the list wishes to speak, would you arrange that, please, Mrs. Robinson?
Go ahead, Robert.
Go ahead, Mr. Schmock. Could Mr. Schmock, are you listening? Are you there? Would you like to speak to this public hearing? No, perhaps we should go on to the next one and see if he would like to speak after. Is there a second one on the list?
Mr. Schmock, we're unable to hear you. So perhaps you could just check your settings there and raise your hand again if you wish to speak. Is there anybody else on the online list that wishes to speak? We have Andrea wishes to speak.
Go ahead, Andrea, please.
Hello, I just wanted to thank you all for everything that you're doing to put together this short-term pilot project about short-term rentals and how it can help the community. And I want to thank Eileen for her good comments. Being in the real estate industry myself, I do agree, especially for a resort town like this, that I think there has to be a fine balance in how this is approached. And I think that there's a good opportunity for what the short-term rentals can bring into the community. It allows alternative housing for people to stay that maybe have pets or kids or need a little more space, and also are coming into the community to spend money in the community as well. So I think that if I appreciate that you're open to working with the residents to make something workable and fair, because I think I'm very pro the short-term rentals if it's done, like Eileen has mentioned, with the right regulations in place. Also, I think having a committee is a really good idea. To have people come together that have the time to manage this and how the process will look moving forward. So thank you for everything you're doing as a community and appreciate the consideration.
Thank you very much for your comments. Could you check and see if there's somebody else?
Mr. Schmock, I'm just checking in with you again to see if we can hear you now. You're unmuted, but your microphone doesn't seem to be working for us. Okay, he has put his hand back down. Is there anybody else online who wishes to speak? Oh, Robert Schmock is going to, can you? He's unmuted. Okay, you're unmuted. Could you try speaking again, Mr. Schmock? We still can't hear you.
Just a minute. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now. Please.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. My apologies for this. The computer, this Zoom is a little bit different than the usually go on Google Meets and things. So, yeah, sorry, sorry for the delay. My name is Robert Schmoke. My brother and sister and I have got our mother's place, which is right on the lake. She's lived there for years, and now we're wanting to, rent the place out short term. We were doing it before for short term rentals, and it was very nice. And I think a lot of people are in this position as to, just getting some residual income to keeping a, family heirloom kind of place in Osoyoos, which is a gorgeous place and a fabulous town. And having, the restriction of having like 30-day or 60-day rental periods for the summertime is not very realistic, especially 90-day rentals. So we just wanted to know if the short-term rental situation is going to be coming back into effect for a 30-day or less than that, and when that might be coming into effect. And the other thing is, would there be any kind of requirement to register for a business license to carry out short-term rentals, and what might that all entail? So thank you very much for answering these kind of questions, and looking forward to working with you all together in the future.
Thank you, Mr. Schmuck. We're not in the process of answering all those questions right now or anything that anybody else brings up. But it will be certainly looked at, and we are taking notes. Is there anyone else online who would like to speak?
Just checking one more time if there's anyone online who wishes to speak. Not seeing any more.
All right, so I'm going to go back to my notes and just say we've heard from all the speakers that have indicated that they want to. Is there anyone else in attendance who has not spoken who wishes to speak? For the second time, I will ask, is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Would you like to come up, please, and sign in at the front? At the microphone. Thank you. please come up to the microphone, say your name and address.
My name is Lyle Peterson. I live at Paradise Park. And I just wanted to give you, I'm 88 years old. I've lived in that park for over 10 years. I've been happy there. And I just wanted to give you a personal impact statement that due to all this stuff, I've lost more sleep than you can shake a stick at. And it's not right. We had the right zoning when I got in there, and now things have all changed, and I don't know what the future holds. It's not fair. So I would appreciate whatever you do, but that's just the way I feel now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, you may ask a question.
Excuse me.
Councillor Potterica has a question for
Either
for
yourself
Mr.
or
Peterson?
Mr. Schultz, I'm just trying to confirm here. I know some of your members last week attended the information session with regards to the zoning on the commercial tourism and the potential campground discussion on the campground bylaw legislation. Is this in regards to the short-term rental legislation which would permit, or is this in regards to the campground legislation that would be coming forward later? Because that is a different issue than what we're discussing today. Other any other residents from Paradise Park? It's to both? Thank you.
Thank you. So I'll have to start again now. I will ask for the first time, is there anyone else who is in attendance who wishes to speak to the public hearing issues? Okay, I will ask for a second time. Is there anyone who wishes to speak? And for a third time, is there anyone who wishes to speak? Thank you. The speakers list is now closed. I will ask staff if there are any comments or any new information raised that they would like to mention. Would that be, no, that would be Ms. Duong or no, great. Thank you very much. Then council, I'm going to ask council if they have any questions of staff or the applicant. Not that we're discussing everything now, I just wondered if any council member had a question that they wanted to ask. Okay, thank you. Then the public hearing is now adjourned, and council may, without further notice, give whatever effect council believes proper to the representations made at this meeting. Council members will not speak to the public further on this matter until it has been considered at a convened public meeting of council. And thank you to everyone who attended today's public hearing. Thank you, everyone.
Can you hear me? Is anyone still there?
Yes, we
I
can.
just want to know if this has been recorded. Are we able to watch this on, I say it's been streaming on YouTube. Can we watch it on YouTube also?
Yes, you can. Yes.
Okay, and how can we find it on YouTube?
Pass that back.
Through the website? Through the YouTube website. Thanks. Through the YouTube website.
Yeah, but searching under what? Just the Osoyoos Town Hall meeting or?
Under the town of Osoyoos.
Town of Osoyoos, okay. Town of Osoyoos, okay.
Thank you
Thank you
very
very
much, everyone online. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next on my, Mrs. Colson, Mrs. Robinson, are we? Okay, no problem. Let me know when you're ready. Okay, so next I have land use amendments, short-term rental regulations review and so on. Is that correct? That's the next item on our list. Okay, so that would be Mr. Garish. And Ms. Duong has been here all day because she is here instead of Mr. Garish. So welcome, Ms. Duong. Please go ahead. We're looking at land use bylaw amendment, short-term rental regulations review. Thank you. Have we got everybody off? There, it's closed online here. Oh, they are still listening. No problem. Thank you.
So yes, I am unfortunately not Mr. Garish.
Oh, that's all right. We're happy to have you.
Happy to act in his place. I don't have a formal presentation for this part of the item, but just as a reminder that although the public hearing was specifically related to the OCP and zoning amendments, we are also proposing amendments to the municipal ticketing information and the bylaw notice enforcement bylaw, which wouldn't have been required to be subject of a public hearing. And just as a quick reminder, those are looking to introduce new offense categories in relation to short-term rental accommodations, as well as increase some existing fines as it relates to business licensing.
So what we're looking at today is that the official community plan amendment bylaw number 1375, the zoning amendment bylaw 139504, municipal ticket information amendment bylaw, and bylaw notice amendment enforcement amendment bylaw be read a third time. So we have already done first two readings of that. Am I correct? Yes. All right. So that's what we're looking at here. Is there anyone who wishes to counsel? Anyone who wishes to make a recommendation or ask any questions about this? Go ahead, Councillor Poderica.
Thank you, Worship. Of course, recognizing the time that has been spent on this for the last 3 years. I think this is probably one of the most significant public engagements that we've had in terms of these bylaws. It's important to recognize that this does now allow us to have units that previously were operating outside of legislation to perhaps now be so, as long as they meet certain requirements and safety requirements. And at this time, I'd move that these now be read a third time.
Thank you very much. Councillor Chong is seconding that. All in favor? Oh, sorry, you had a question? Go ahead.
Thank you. So just to really clarify the need and the purpose of this bylaw and associated amendments, historically, and I feel like I am beating a little bit of a dead horse, but historically, short-term rentals were never allowed within the confines of Osoyoos. The issue was enforcement. We didn't have the tools available to us to legally enforce these fines, because the worst offenders, they know the rules, they know the loopholes, and it ends up costing the town more for us to enforce the SCI restrictions. This allows us to have a bigger stick. It allows us to make sure that the units that are available for short-term rentals pass inspection and safety standards, which then ensures the health and safety of our tourism. So this is why we do have to make amendments to the municipal ticketing information as well, so that we can bolster the tools available to us to ensure that short-term rentals are regulated, but also regulated correctly. So just a few questions for Ms. Duong. What defines the period of time of a short-term rental?
So under the town zoning bylaw, you're looking at any period of time that a residential dwelling unit is to be providing temporary accommodations commercially to paying guests for less than 30 days. Yeah.
And mostly because this was asked, but we will be having a business licensing process as well. So could you give a brief overview as to the process of this?
Yes, so we are currently in the middle of a business licensing bylaw update as well. That wasn't included in today's item just because we were going to run it at the next council meeting together with the adoption of these other amendments, if council supportive of them, of course. So essentially what would happen if it was adopted as is is that someone would, in order to have a short-term rental accommodation, you would need to also be issued a business license. You cannot be issued a business license for a short-term rental where that use is not permitted in that zone. As part of the business licensing application, you'd be required to submit a number of different requirements, such as the floor plan, so that we know exactly how many bedrooms are being rented out as part of the short-term rental. You'd be required to fill out a certification, self-attestation document, which certifies that the basic health and safety requirements are being met. And you would also need to provide a fire safety plan that shows evacuation routes, so egress points, as well as fire extinguisher locations and whatnot. In addition to that, there would be, of course, the payment of the business licensing application fee, which would be $750 for that short-term rental accommodation use.
Thank you.
And the parking, you'd have to provide parking, show where the people that rented the bedrooms would have parking. Sure.
That's correct, yeah.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else that has a question of Ms. Duong? All right, thank you for bringing those points up. Those are very important for sure. I will then, it's been moved and seconded that we go with passing this for the third time. It be read a third time, so I will ask all in favor. I'm not sure whether we can see what's going on with Mr. King. Councillor King, Councillor King, are you able to talk?
I'm here. I don't know why my picture's not coming up. My camera's on.
Okay, well, are you in agreement with this? Because I couldn't see your
Yes,
picture.
yes,
Thank you
yes.
very much. Okay, that's good. So thank you, everyone. Next on our agenda is Water Districts 8 and 9 financial accounts. And this is to report on expenditures from accounts payable for water councillors and council to receive as of September the 9th, 2025. That is in the amount of $107,472.36. Is there any? Oh, you're moving it. Councillor Appleby, Councillor Morera seconding that. Any questions, any concerns? All in favor? Thank you very much. You can stay if you like. Thank you. All right, we're going to go on to staff reports, and the first one is Agricultural Land Commission referral, and that would be so non-adhering residential use, and that's well, is it? It says Mr. Clooney, so that's Ms. Duong as well. Are you doing it, or okay? Thank you very much. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm everyone today. Yes. Okay. Yes, so this item relates to a Agricultural Land Commission referral that was received by the town with respect to a proposed non-adhering residential use. So the subject property in this case is 6808 45th Avenue. The property is designated under the town's official community plan as agriculture, and the zoning of the property is similarly agriculture. The parcel is approximately 3.6 hectares in size, and it is not located within the town's urban containment area. The property is entirely located within the agricultural land reserve and currently contains a single detached dwelling, a fruit stand, a shop/garage, as well as the subject coach house, and a large portion of the property, as you can see, is under current agricultural production. Just a bit of background about this property. As I understand it, there was a recent fire within a building on the property, which is called the coach house. This coach house was understood to have previously contained a top-down duplex. So you got one unit on top with a kitchen and one residential unit on the bottom also with a kitchen. The applicant has proposed works to restore the interior of the building post-fire to its previous configuration. They were able to ensure that the structure was remained standing. However, the inside of the building was damaged by that fire. So currently the applicant is proposing to reconstruct the coach house back to its previous configuration as a duplex. So the main floor of the main floor dwelling unit would have a total floor area of just over 96 square meters, and the basement dwelling unit area would be just about 56 square meters. With respect to the town's relevant policies in the OCP does support the use of agricultural lands for agricultural purposes, and the OCP does have policies which speak to preserving the agricultural land reserve and also encouraging farming within the reserve. The agriculture zoning that applies to the property permits, in terms of residential uses, single detached dwelling, as well as accessory dwelling and secondary suite. Duplexes are not a permitted use within the ag zone. Additionally, the ag zone stipulates a maximum of one principal dwelling unit, so that's a single detached dwelling, as well as one accessory dwelling or one secondary suite. So you'd be looking at a maximum of 2 dwelling units on that property. In terms of the Agricultural Land Commission Act and the Agricultural Land Reserve Use Regulation, parcels within the Agricultural Land Reserve are permitted to have one principal residence up to 500 square meters in total floor area. And for parcels under 40 hectares or less, these parcels are permitted to have one additional residence up to 90 square meters in total floor area. So ultimately, the proposal to reconstruct the coach house as it previously was would require the ALC's approval for a couple of matters, one of which is that there would be one excess residence, as if the development took place as proposed, there would be one principal residence and 2 additional residences on the property. And additionally, they are requesting approval for an additional residence to exceed 90 square meters in total floor area, as the top unit would be just over that 96 square meters in total floor area. In terms of council's considerations, the primary considerations when we're looking at these proposals for non-farm uses on ag designated lands are, firstly, what are the cumulative impacts of these uses on the long-term capability and viability of agricultural lands? Does the proposal actually relate to the farm operation on that property? And is the use compatible with the agricultural use of the property and surrounding properties? So just looking at firstly, the impacts on the long-term agricultural capability and viability, the structure is existing, and so it wouldn't actually remove or otherwise result in the removal of lands from agricultural production. The structure is understood to be clustered with other development on the property within that farm plate, kind of on the eastern edge of the property. So therefore, the proposal wouldn't be resulting in a loss or alienation of farmland. In terms of relationship to the agricultural operation, the application did submit that the property owners do not own or lease any other parcels that are relevant to the application, and the proposal is not for temporary farm worker housing. Therefore, given the limited size of the known farm operation, it does appear that the property or the proposal is excessive and unrelated to the agricultural use of the property. And lastly, in terms of compatibility with agricultural uses, it's important to note that the use of ag designated lands is agriculture. Agricultural land is finite and must be maintained in order to ensure its future production potential. And the introduction of any additional residential densities also increases the potential for conflicts between farm and non-farm users, such as residential and agricultural users. Therefore, we don't believe that agricultural lands are considered to be a suitable location for further residential development. So just a quick summary, the proposal is not seen to be consistent with the Ag OCP and zoning designations applicable to the property, and the applicant is also seen to have alternative options available, such as requesting one accessory dwelling up to 125 square meters or having a secondary suite within their principal residence. However, the ALC approval is required in order to have any additional residence greater than 90 square meters. The applicant also does have the potential of requesting one accessory dwelling with a 152.04 square meter floor area, which would be just having one kitchen in the entire coach house as opposed to 2. But this would require both town and ALC approval, as it would require rezoning. So we are seeking council's direction today as to whether or not council authorizes this application to proceed to the ALC. We are recommending that it does not proceed to the commission. However, if council does support the alternative option here to authorize it to proceed, it should be noted that if the ALC does approve the proposal, a rezoning would be required in order to permit duplex dwelling as a permitted use on the property. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Duong. At one point, people who had agricultural land were allowed to apply to the ALC on their own. Now that must come before council first. Am I correct? And council then decides whether it should go to the ALC or not. Am I correct?
So these types of applications typically, most ALC applications must be submitted by the applicant and must go through the local government council first.
Mhm.
For authorization to proceed to the commission. I think what you're referring to is exclusion applications.
No,
which are
I was meaning that any application needs to come through the local government now, where it used to be that you could do that on your own and send it off without contacting the local government. Am I correct?
So I think that local governments have always been required to authorize these types of applications to proceed to the commission. And it's simply to provide,
Absolutely.
their input on whether or not it's consistent with zoning and OCP regulations.
Thank you. Okay, council, what is your wish on this one? Go ahead. Go ahead, Mr. Myers.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would recommend number 2. I think that we need housing, and this is a small house, and there's people in that area that are working on that area, and I don't see it taken away from a big, huge piece of farmland. I mean, I go through Vancouver and I see huge farms getting bulldozed down and big storage units getting put on, and we're talking about one small little house, so I'm not quite against it as much as this. So I recommend number 2.
All right. Anybody else? Is there somebody who wants to second that recommendation? Go ahead.
So with option 2, there'd be a requirement for, was it a bylaw change?
Yes, so if the Agricultural Land Commission does ultimately approve the application, in order to actually reconstruct the dwellings themselves, the town would need to receive and also subsequently approve a rezoning of the property to allow for the duplex dwelling.
And is this rezoning just specific to that property, or would it be widespread through all of ag?
It would typically just be the site specific to that property.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Go ahead, Councillor King.
Yeah, thank you. If this happens to get passed, doesn't it open the door that other agricultural properties could apply to do the same thing?
I would say that any agricultural property owner could make this application to the commission. And all these decisions that are being made are made on a site-specific basis based on the context of the application at hand. So.
Okay, Councillor King.
That's fine. That's fine.
Go ahead, Councillor Federica.
Thank you, Worship, through you to Mr. Wong. Just a question with regards to the current building that was damaged. If this was to proceed, they'd be required to make that just as a single unit or replace it to a larger capacity if that was the case with the parameters, but subject to ALC approval.
They are currently proposing to just rebuild it to the previous configuration that it was in. So they're not proposing to expand it at this point.
And previously, it was a duplex. Let's say that was modified at some point, I'm guessing, to make it a duplex, and where the original intent of the building was not.
That's my understanding. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so it's been moved but not seconded yet that we authorize it to go to the ALC. Is there somebody who wishes to second that? Councillor Chung. Okay. Anything else that anybody wants to bring up? Yes. Mm-hmm.
And just to confirm, the total footprint of the proposed duplex would not be any larger than the current, I guess, what's left of the building.
That's my understanding. Yes, they'll be using, so the structure itself wasn't damaged externally. So all they would be doing is interior works to just restore it back to what it was.
Okay, so it's been, I'm not sure how I feel about this one. I don't think it's a good well, I don't think it's a good idea to do this at this point. However, I totally understand both sides. I would be quite concerned that if the ALC allowed this to happen, quite frankly, just knowing what they've done over the past. However, it certainly can be given to them. So it's been moved and seconded that that we ask for this to proceed to the ALC. All in favor? Against?
I'm
Councillor
in
King?
favor. I'm in favor.
So that, thank you. That means that it will proceed to the ALC. Thank you, Ms. Duong. Next is the fire station building mural. Are you going to speak to this, Mr. Risling, or is Mr. McCaskill going to speak to this? Okay. Thank you.
So thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, this is, I think, a good news story by a bunch of fantastic people. As everybody knows, our fire department is on duty 24/7, 365. So they do a lot more than just look after the community and protect us. They also do a lot of charity work. They recently approached administration to consider putting a mural on the fire hall. And that's what this report is, because it is a town asset. We require council's approval to proceed. So on the positive side, again, the Charitable Society does a lot of volunteer work for the community. They give a ton of money and volunteer hours to various other nonprofit groups. And this is one way, I guess, to also give back to the community in a longer lasting type way of a mural on the fire station. It not only provides the community with a lot of an opportunity to see something fresh and new or something different every single day, but it also gives them a morale boost when they show up at the fire hall, seeing them depicted on the side of the wall and something that they've actually purchased and are looking to maintain. So just a couple pros and cons to this request. Yeah, and I think it's something great for the tourists. We have a lot of murals within the community, and it's something that a lot of people do enjoy and actually go on walks to look at all the various murals in the community. So it's something for tourists to enjoy as well as the residents. It's a morale booster for the firefighters, and it's the best thing for the town is that the society is actually offering to pay for the initial installation of the mural, and as well as maintenance costs. As far as cons, I had to dig pretty deep here. Some people may not appreciate various types of artwork. I know I'm really reaching here. I really like what the proposed is, and a small risk of the society not keeping up with the maintenance in 8, 10, 15 years when it needs to be brushed up. But again, that ever did happen. Gallon of paint pretty much solves that problem. So very little risk from a municipal perspective. And here's a rendition of the mural, and it's proposed to go on the west side of the fire hall. As you can see, there's a firefighter in the middle, and there's an older version fire truck and a newer version to the other side. And so we're here to seek council support to approve the rendition and allow us to proceed with actually that work and to put on the fire hall.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, Councillor Chong.
I move option 1.
Thank
I'll
you. Is there a
second it.
seconder? Thank you. Councillor Poderica has seconded that. I don't see any questions. All in favor? Thank you. Councillor King, you're in favor of that, obviously?
Yes, for sure.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Go ahead, get the paints out, Fire Chief McCaskill. Thank you. Resort Development Strategy 2025 to 2027 and allocation of previous unspent funds. Are you talking to this one,
Yes,
Mr. Risling, or is Mr. Davis?
I am, Your Worship.
Okay, You just get to watch. All right, thank you. Go ahead, please.
Okay, we've got a bit of a slideshow here. Thank you, Your Worship. There's been a lot of talk about the resort strategy. I think everybody's aware, but I'll repeat some of the past dialogue that has occurred over the last few months and, well, years, in fact. And we're a tourist municipality, and in fact, we're one of 14 municipalities within the province that actually has approved resort status through provincially. Because tourism is so important to not only our community, but the province, we receive grant funding, which is to go towards promoting tourism within the community. The new in order to obtain that funding, which is approximately over the next 3 years, about 1.3 million or just over 400,000 per year, we have to develop a strategy. As council is aware, there's a committee that was set up to look at potential projects that funding could be allocated to, and those projects were presented to council earlier. That committee did a lot of work, and I just wanted to identify the various people that were involved. Chamber of Commerce, Destination Associates had 5 representatives, and Councillor Potterica was the councillor that was leading the charge. Oops. And this is just to recap, council has seen this before. Where this funding is going is in 2 buckets: operating. The province allows us to allocate approximately 30% or 30% to operating type things, and the remaining 70% to capital. Again, the 70% is the minimum amount that you can put to capital, so we've actually gone as far as we can on the operating side. 300,000 is geared to nonprofits that put on festivities, and that's 100,000 per year, and 92,000 over the 3 years is going towards more of the administration's side to assist with beach cleaning, waterfront safety, boat trailer, parking lot administration, and that basically chews up the 400,000. More of the, I guess, maybe the exciting part from a capital perspective. Although it sounds like a lot of money, it really goes pretty quick these days. First thing is another electronic sign. One of the things that council was interested previously is to have 3 electronic signs to welcome visitors to the community. There are 3 entrances. The other piece is for active transportation, bike racks and repair. Had a flag project here, which we're still working on. The wellness trail along Pioneer Walkway, and Gyro Park was kind of a filler of about 211,000. We know that once the Parks Master Plan is presented, it'd likely cost a lot more to do the aspirational type things that are in that plan, but at least it's some money to proceed with some of the likely recommendations, and the accessible year-round washroom. I think what's important to note is that there's also funding in the 22 to 24 strategy that's left over. Again, this was presented to council a month or 2 ago, and that funding is funding the other half of the washroom. So we're planning on paying for that washroom over the 2 strategy plans. We're also looking to do a couple more swim platforms. The one at Gyro is a pretty big hit. Looking to expand that to 2 additional beaches, and they're about $100,000 each. And we also talked about the electronic sign. This is to do the 3rd sign to the entrance of the community, and the public art, which council has already allocated to the museum and Wide Arts. And those are the projects. Now, what has changed since we talked to council a couple months ago? Council is aware we were up against some timelines. The plan had to be submitted to the province by June 30th. And so we did provide that plan to the province. when we went through the process, looked at some of our accounting, there was some additional funding left over from the 2022-2024 strategy that was unused. And what administration did is allocate that additional funding just to the washrooms, just so that we had a placeholder, or we were able to balance the books, because the province needed to do that. And what's important to note is that even though these are plans, and the province is flexible in changing things, we know every one of the projects will not be come in at exactly the number that is within the budget, and we have that flexibility to actually move money around or even shift projects as we go through the 3-year strategy. We've done our best to come up with some preliminary estimates, but that's, things change. We can change design, make things maybe a little bit more cost effective, or maybe they're a little bit more expensive. So I think what's important here, this is a plan, and as we proceed and finish up projects, we'll see what funding is available, and maybe additional projects can be added. At the last council meeting, the plan was presented, the projects were presented. One of the things that came up was the fence at the splash park, and council asked administration to go back and take a look to see if the fence could be added at the splash park with the 22 to 25 remaining funds. At this time, council or administration is not recommending doing that, and there's a few reasons for it. We certainly see it as a viable project. There's no issues with that, but that project was not identified by the committee. I want to emphasize that the committee did know that council has the ultimate authority in what projects are approved, but I think what's important to note is that the committee had a lot of other projects that would have been recommended if there was funding available. And one of them was shade sales. I think we've heard that on numerous occasions in our park system, there's simply just not enough shade out there for people. I know if you go down to Gyro at any of our events, people are really crowded around the couple of trees around the cafeteria there. Another one is we have several pocket right-of-ways that go onto our lake, about 10 in the community approximately. Some of them have some improvements, some have nothing. And so one of the discussion points was to actually start allocating some funding to some of those right-of-ways to beautify them and make them little parks that people could enjoy. Other issues that administration has thought about is potentially additional security cameras. We know that unfortunately there's going to be more and more vandalism in some of our parks. Security cameras don't guarantee that there is not going to be vandalism, but maybe it's a deterrent. So it's something that administration is actually looking at potentially including in a 2026 budget. Also, our boat trailer parking lot, one of the things we've been thinking about is actually putting that gate on a timer. Right now we have to get staff that go down 6 or 7 in the morning to open up, and have staff come back at 10, 11 o'clock at night to lock up. So maybe look at something that's a little bit more automated. A couple other issues is we know that the swim platforms are a massive hit down at Gyro. The cost was $100,000 in 2024 dollars. If you've been down to Gyro, I've been down there a few times, and I haven't seen a time yet where somebody hasn't been on the swim platform. And so, but for $100,000, there isn't a lot there. I think maybe we could be criticized that it could be a lot larger. So I'm just putting into perspective what money will buy, and $100,000 isn't much these days. But again, that's something maybe that can be considered as well, as expanding that swim platform. As far as the fence at Splash Park, one of the things that administration thinks would maybe be prudent is when the overall parks master plan comes forward, it's going to likely have a lot of opportunities, a lot of different ideas and things that council may want to consider. And it might be more prudent to actually take a look at all the various improvements that may be considered, and then weigh the fence at the splash park with all the other potential opportunities out there. Other opportunities are, depending on what happens with the previous 22 to 24 strategy and the 25 to 27 strategy. If there is funding left over, there's this is a project that we can keep on the potential to-do list. So again, we think it's a good project, but we don't know. We believe that there's probably a more thorough list that council may want to consider before funding is allocated to that splash park fence. Again, however, it is a council decision. Because we have to submit this information to the province, which we did because of the deadline, and provincial administration has okayed the plan, we're asking at this point that, council tentatively approve the plan. And as we do projects, we'll come back to council indicating where we're at as far as from a financial perspective, and provide council the opportunity to provide feedback and change the projects. I think one of the important things is that once these plans even go in, the province is flexible in actually changing or amending the project plan. So, so I guess at this point, just because of the time crunch and that it's already been in front of the province, we recommend approving it this time. But certainly, I think this is the fence at Splash Park is a good project, and one that should be considered at some point in the future.
Thank you. Thank you. So,
I have a
Councillor
question.
Poderica, sorry, Councillor King, is that you?
Yes, it was. Thank you. Is there any update on when the park master plan might be finished? Mr. Riesling?
Through your worship, the Parks Master Plan, we're hoping that, within the next 60 days or so that we can have something come forward.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor King. So I'm going to ask Councillor Poderica, because he was on this committee, are you in agreement with the recommended motion here?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. I do want to, of course, highlight the fact that we are fortunate that we are a resort municipality, and we do benefit as one of the 14 municipalities. The RMI and the resort development strategy provides us funding that would normally be available to municipalities. It has provided us in the past a lot of opportunities that wouldn't exist, especially in a community our size. But reflective, obviously, of the demand that we have, obviously, especially in the summers, as we've seen the summers being as busy as it was, and as popular as these services have, especially when you look at our events funding, our improvements around the lake and beaches and parks, and some of the equipment that we've done over the time, as well as the boat lot, which of course has freed up a lot of parking. And yeah, I think I want to thank those that did participate. Number of those, I think, number of those organizations also presented on our tourism master plan as well. With Destination Oceas, it kind of encompasses a number of the businesses in this community that work year round to ensure that Oceas remains a destination of choice for a number of travelers and visitors every year. And yes, I do support these, and I'd move. I think it's also important that we are able to move on these and move on these as fast as we can. And I know in the past there's been times where we haven't been able to spend the money up until the deadline at the end, and I think the sooner we can move these projects forward, the better. And at this time, let me just find my sheet here, and now I've lost it. But let's just start with recommendation number. I think there's 1 and 2. I think is what we're looking for, right? So I'll start with moving forward that option 1, that the attached updated resort development strategy be approved by council.
I'll second that.
Thank you. And so is that an instead of? So we're not going with number 2, where it's the motion is previously defeated and we move on with this one? That's what I'm finding that a little bit confusing. So I'm just wondering, is that what your recommendation? Are there 2 recommendations? We're going to go with both of them?
Yes, your worship.
Okay.
So there's the actual 25 to 27 strategy that really hasn't changed much other than wordsmithing. So that needs to be approved. As you may recall, at the 1 council meeting ago or 2 council meetings ago, there was a the 22 to 24 projects were defeated. Because council wanted administration to go back and take a look at the fence. Well, maybe we shouldn't have got that recommendation from me, and we probably shouldn't have done that, because then it would have just died on the floor, and we could have just brought forward a motion without having to actually ask council to reconsider that motion that now needs to be changed.
That's what I'm asking. That was your recommendation, that we reconsider that motion and approve. So I'm not sure. Whatever, you were at the meeting, Councillor Poderica. So you're wanting to do one, not two, or both?
Thank you. I think we need to do both, because the first one allows our 2025 to 2027 plan to be approved. And the second one will reconsider the funds allocated for 2022 that are unspent for 2022 to 2024. I thought we had a meeting after that we did address it, but maybe it was just conversation at the time when we went back on fence.
Mrs. Coulson, go ahead,
Just
please.
a point of procedure, Councillor Poderica may not move the second part of that because he was not with the prevailing side. So we just need a separate mover and seconder for that second.
All right,
motion.
so let me go through this again. He's moving option number 1, which has been moved and seconded, and we haven't voted on that yet. Let's take a vote on that one. All in favor of recommendation 1?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, now, number 2, that would be, that could Councillor Bennett make that motion? Okay. And who can second it? Anybody? Because I can't remember who voted for it and against it. It just says it was defeated.
It's just the mover. Anybody can
Okay.
second it.
All right. So you're seconding that? A question first before you second? Okay, go ahead.
Can I offer a friendly amendment to add that the splash park fence be high priority if there are excess funds? Like to motion 2, like just after. If Councillor Bennett is supportive of it, then I will second that.
Okay. Speaking to that, I certainly understand the reason for the splash park fence, but there are several other things that have been listed that could be included as well. So just listed as part of one of those, that list, right? Added to that list?
I would like it to be at the top of that list. So mainly,
Okay.
I'll share some context. I've been to about 7 birthday parties in that splash park. I have sprinted against probably at least 20 times for children who are running up that hill to that road. And all the other projects are important, but at the same time, none of those projects have any risk of injury or loss of life to a child. That is my rationale for putting the fencing as top priority in the case that there is excess funds if projects go under budget.
I support what.
You're right. This is
This
a bit of a confusing issue, and there's every project likely is important. So I'm fine with doing that as well. So it's been moved and seconded that we add the splash park as a high priority for the next list that we're going to do. All right. So are we all set? I'll call the question. All in favor?
Agree.
Okay, we're done with that one. Thank you very much. Next is the zoning amendment bylaw, 6802 85th Avenue. Am I correct? Is that where we are? Miss Duong. This is Mr. Clooney is not here. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, you've got me for the next 5 items.
Okay, all righty.
Okay, so this is a zoning bylaw amendment application for the property at 6802 85th Street. The official community plan designation that applies to this property is medium density residential, and the zoning that applies is medium density residential 1. The parcel is approximately 752 square meters in size, and the parcel is located within the urban containment area. Currently, the property is comprised of a 5-unit townhouse, which remains under active construction, and the building includes a basement area, which was originally intended to be used for storage. So the applicant at this time is proposing to convert a portion of that basement area that's shown delineated in dashed blue there, that area of the basement into one additional dwelling unit. So that would result in a total of 6 dwelling units within this building. The medium density residential official community plan designation does support multifamily development in the form of apartments and townhouses, as well as community care facilities and plex developments to densities of 75 units per hectare. Additionally, the OCP does have broader housing policies that speak to encouraging a mix of housing types as a means of providing lower cost options to those in town. The medium density residential 1 zoning permits, at least relevant to this particular application, apartment and townhouses as permitted principal uses to a maximum density of 75 dwelling units per hectare. Now, based on the size of this property, this would equate to a maximum of 5 dwelling units. So in order to achieve the proposal that the applicant has put forward to include that additional dwelling unit, it is being proposed under Amendment Bylaw number 1395.08 to change the zoning of the property at 6802 85th Street from medium density residential 1 to medium density residential 1 site specific, with a site specific provision to allow for an increase in the maximum permitted density from 75 dwelling units per hectare to 80 dwelling units per hectare in order to allow for that 6th unit. So some considerations for council when deciding how to proceed. The proposal does generally seem to be consistent with the relevant policies of the official community plan, although it does slightly exceed that 75 dwelling unit per hectare policy with respect to the supported density and medium density residential lands. The OCP does encourage, as I mentioned, a mix of housing types to provide those lower cost options, and this typically does include multifamily developments. Additionally, the OCP speaks to providing a range of housing, and this would ensure that individuals of the diverse demographic groups that we see within the town and the various life stages can live in the town and have a high quality of life. Additionally, it is noted within the official community plan that little land is available within the town for development, and those lands therefore should be used effectively and efficiently. The addition of 1 additional unit at this site is also not seen to impose a burden on the town's infrastructure. Though the request does seem minor in nature, council may wish to maintain its regulations or its existing density cap, as granting these types of minor exceptions to zoning regulations can encourage similar requests to come forward, and that would ultimately, in the end, undermine the intent of the zoning regulation. So with this in mind, we are seeking council's direction as to how to proceed, and we are recommending that this amendment bylaw be given first, second, and third readings. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Duong. I had one question. I'm a little bit concerned about where people that are staying in these apartments park, because it's a really busy a walkway, because the school and the community center are right there. So it's used often. And I'm wondering, obviously, parking has been taken into consideration. I just didn't see it on any of these maps. Do you have anything to say about that?
Yes, so I do understand that a site plan was provided as part of the application, and the file manager would have undertaken a review of those parking regulations at the time and ensured that they were consistent.
Okay, all right. Well, and obviously it has to go to highways as well to approve? Yeah, okay. Council, anybody have any? Go ahead.
I'll move option 1.
You're seconding it, so that the amendment bylaw be read a first, second, and third time. Right? Okay. Anybody have any questions about that? Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, next is land use procedures bylaw amendment notification signs. Ms. Duong.
So this item relates to proposed amendments to the land use procedures bylaw as it relates to notification signs. As council may recall, this did come forward to the last committee of the whole meeting and was initiated at that time. And I got ahead of myself with the first slide. So I just figured I would do a quick summary of the issues that we were attempting to address as part of these proposed amendments. So first of all bylaw amendment applications per the Land Use Procedures Bylaw currently require the posting of a notification sign. However, as previously mentioned during committee, this doesn't reflect the newly introduced prohibitions for public hearings in relation to certain rezonings under the Local Government Act. So specifically, those public hearing or those rezonings which request or would facilitate a residential development, and the proposal itself is consistent with the OCP designation that applies to the property. Additionally, we did note some issues with the timing of the signage requirements. So signs must be posted and updated at least 10 days within council's first consideration of the bylaws, as well as they must be updated within 10 days of the holding of a public information meeting or a public hearing. This is particularly challenging for administration when you're trying to schedule the meetings and schedule the item to proceed forward to council while also ensuring a timely processing procedure. Additionally, it was noted that signs can cost approximately $300 on top of application fees, which would incur obviously additional costs and burdens to applications. And lastly, the information that is on these signs are typically very high level, which can result in potentially misunderstandings or misinterpretations of the information on the signs. So really, we see the most effective means of communicating these application requirement or information as just posting them on the town's website. So what we're proposing in terms of these amendments today is that we would be limiting the sign requirements to apply solely to bylaw amendment applications which do not require a public hearing. And furthermore, we would be proposing that the placement of a sign occur prior to the submission of an application. And lastly, we have redesigned the site notice design just to reduce the overall amount of information that's being presented on the signs by removing subject maps and references to public meetings and hearings, and instead including information on how someone, if they see the sign, could potentially view the application materials on the town's website. So just in summary, the current application sign requirements within the bylaw are generally seen to be overly burdensome, and this would be both to applicants and to staff, and limiting the applicability of these signs and reducing associated requirements would likely improve application costs and processes in the long run. And we are seeking council's direction with respect to amendment bylaw number 1235.11, and we are recommending that this be read a first, second, and third time. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
I'll move option 1.
Thank you. You seconding that? Are there any questions or comments? Okay, I'll call question. All in favor?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Duong. So next one is the Near Market Affordable Housing Program, Housing Agreement Southeast Meadowlark Phase 2.
So this item does relate to a proposal which was previously reviewed by council back in July. So I'm just going to give a bit of background information as a quick refresher since it's been a couple of months. So the subject property that we'd be looking at today is Lot 25, and this is on Plan EPP 121282, and this is within the Meadowlark Phase 2 development. The official community plan designation that applies to the property is low density residential, and the zoning is small scale multi-unit residential, or RS1, and it is located within the growth containment area. In terms of the subdivision application, the original subdivision application, we did receive this back in September 2020. A preliminary layout review was subsequently issued on June 10th, 2021, and the subdivision plan was ultimately deposited with the Land Title Office in September 2021, which has resulted in the current configuration of the subdivision today. So as a bit of background, as council is aware, the Southeast Meadowlark area comprises of approximately 16 hectares of land, which largely still remain within the agricultural land reserve. Future development of this area does hinge on the exclusion of the lands from the reserve, and the Agricultural Land Commission back in 2010 had granted a conditional exclusion of these lands. Now, the conditions that do apply to the exclusion, and this is intended to be undertaken on a rolling basis, was that, first of all, the town was to delete certain ALR lands that had been designated as growth areas within the OCP. And then secondly, there must be demonstrated consistency with the Southeast Meadowlark Plan, which of course, there were a number of different requirements as part of that plan. However, one of the primary requirements was that 15% of the units would be dedicated for affordable housing. So in order to address the affordable housing condition, the property owner at the time had registered an interim Section 219 statutory no sale covenant, and this was against lots 2, 3, and 4 of the subdivision. And this covenant stipulated that until a housing agreement is filed against the property owner would not be able to sell, transfer, rent, or lease, or otherwise dispose of interest in the lands. So this covenant was understood to be intended to allow for the ALR exclusion to proceed and the subdivision to proceed without housing agreements being registered up front. The covenant was accepted by the ALC as meeting the affordable housing condition, and the property was ultimately excluded from the ALR. So as I understand it, housing agreements have been registered against the titles of what was lots 2 and 3, and they've now since been sold, and they have also been stratified. So different legal descriptions now, but those covenants were released from title as a result. Now, a no-sale covenant does remain on lot 4, as no housing agreement has been registered against that title yet. As previously mentioned, on July 15th, 2025, Council had considered a request from the owner of Lot 4 to transfer the no-sale covenant from Lot 4 to Lot 25, and this would be done by canceling the no-sale covenant that's registered against Lot 4 and registering a no-sale covenant instead against Lot 25. And at the time, staff had advised that given the length of time since the registration of the subdivision back in 2021, it would be appropriate to replace the covenant at that point with a housing agreement on lot 25 instead. And with that in mind, Council did deny the owner's request at the time. However, at this time, the property owner has come forward and has indicated that they're amenable to registering a housing agreement against lot 25 as previously discussed. And that would be under the stipulation, of course, that the no-sale covenant be discharged from lot 4. So in terms of statutory context, the Local Government Act does give the local government an authority to enter into a housing agreement by bylaw. And as previously advised to Council, the town does have housing agreement bylaw number 1343, which was adopted originally by Council to facilitate compliance with the Southeast Meadowlark Plan and the ALC's affordable housing condition for phase 1 of the Meadowlark development. And this authorized the town to enter into a housing agreement. So the amendment bylaw before you today, being Housing Agreement Amendment Bylaw number 1343.04, would propose to amend bylaw number 1343 to authorize the town to enter into a housing agreement, specifically with respect to lot 25. So just some considerations. That previously registered no-sale covenant, as I mentioned, it was intended to be an interim measure to allow for the original subdivision of the parent parcel of the property in phase 2 of Meadowlark by ultimately deferring the registration of a housing agreement. We do find that the proposal is consistent with what we had previously commented on with respect to the property owner's previous request to transfer that covenant. And we have reviewed and had the housing agreement drafted, so we do feel satisfied that it has been drafted in accordance with the town's policy PLA 017, and at this time staff are supportive of the proposal and would recommend that that no-sale covenant be discharged from lot 4 concurrently with the registration of the housing agreement being registered against lot 25. And we are seeking Council's direction with respect to this amendment bylaw, and we are recommending that this housing agreement bylaw be given a first, second, and third reading.
Thank you very much. Okay, so Council.
I'll move option 1.
Councillor King has option 1, which is the recommended motion. enter into a housing agreement to provide affordable housing, be read a first, second, and third time. And that the housing agreement be, yeah, that's what it is. Okay. You're seconding that? Are there any questions or concerns about this one? No, I will call the question. All in favor?
Yes.
Thank you. That's carried. Next is the small scale multi-unit housing implementation phase 2. Ms. Duong.
So this is another item that came from the July 15th committee meeting. Again, a number of amendments have been made to the Local Government Act over the last, I guess, technically it was almost 2 years ago. But one of those amendments that was made was the introduction of new requirements that pertain to the completion of housing needs reports, as well as requirements with respect to associated amendments to local government official community plan and zoning bylaws. So specifically, in terms of deadlines, the town was required by January 1st, 2025 to complete an interim housing needs report that was completed and received by council back in February. So council at this time would need to meet the associated local government act requirements with respect to pre-zoning as required, as well as introducing any new housing needs report policies by December 31st, 2025. So when the town received its housing needs report update in February, it was indicated that a housing need of 1,018 units would be required to meet the town's housing needs over the next 20 years. At its committee meeting on July 15th, the committee was provided with a June 2nd, 2025 zoning capacity assessment that was prepared by Urban Systems to give us a better sense of where we stand relative to meeting that goal. And that zoning capacity assessment did come out to indicate that the town, through its existing zoning and existing OCP designations, has the capacity for 6,375 dwelling units, which far exceeds the requirements as stipulated under the housing needs report. So with that in mind, the town actually already meets those requirements to have the zoning and the OCP designations in place to provide for the 20-year housing needs as identified under their housing needs report. So we currently already meet 2 of the 3 requirements that are set out with respect to housing needs in the Local Government Act. However, our OCP bylaw currently does not does not meet the requirement to introduce housing policies that address the classes of the housing needs report housing needs yet. So this is what this amendment bylaw is currently seeking to address. So OCP amendment bylaw number 1375.09 proposes to introduce a new section on provincial direction under section 6.b of our OCP bylaw. So that section would speak to the new housing needs report related requirements under the Local Government Act, and also set out the findings of our housing needs report, including our 5 and 20-year targets for housing needs. Additionally, the amendment bylaw does propose to revamp the policies section by collapsing the various subheaders into one broad subsection and tying in reference to the housing needs report. Additional policies are being proposed which speak to supporting a variety of housing types and tenures that represent those various housing needs as identified under the housing needs report. It also proposes policies with respect to supporting the creation of a favorable regulatory environment to help overcome barriers to housing construction, and also speaks to providing more of a advocacy to the province with respect to housing and homelessness, essentially advocating to the province that improvements be made to the development approval process through updates to the Local Government Act. And lastly, the projects list under section 9.0 is proposed to be updated to reflect our recent developments in our strategic land use projects. So we're seeking council's direction today with respect to that OCP amendment bylaw. We are recommending that this be read a first and second time to meet statutory requirements, and a public hearing would be required in order to proceed with this one. And so we're recommending that that public hearing be scheduled for October 14th, 2025. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Council? What do option one, the whole recommended thing, including the public hearing and so on? Okay. Moved and seconded that we go with the recommended motion. All in favor?
Support.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Do you need a drink before you go on to the next one? Various land use bylaw amendments.
I hope I can get through this one without my voice cracking.
Yes, I hope so too. Thank you.
So, this item relates to another committee item that had previously come forward. But I will again give a bit of background. So when we go through our day-to-day lives in planning, we notice some issues that have come up with the bylaws that have been adopted and have identified several different types of efficiencies or corrections that could be made. So really, these amendment bylaws seek to address some of those inefficiencies or ambiguities and gaps that we've noted. So I'll just start with some of the proposed amendments to the official community plan bylaw. The first component of this relates to development permit area designations. As council may be aware, the town has 5 development permit areas that are designated under the official community plan, each with their own defined exemption criteria. So certain exemptions, examples include things like interior alterations, particularly with respect to form and character development permits, because those largely focus on what buildings' exteriors look like, signage requirements, natural restoration, as well as utilities. Now, with respect to environmentally sensitive development permit and riparian development permit exemptions in regards to utilities, there is one exemption that exists between the two of these areas, specifically the construction, repair, or maintenance of municipal works by the town or its authorized agents or contractors, including the maintenance of parks and trails, so long as consideration has been given for ecosystem functions and their cycles. And this could be things like bird nesting seasons. So in reviewing this type of exemption, it's unclear to us whether this is intended to be just parks and trails. Are there meant to be other exemptions that are provided for? So is the exemption intended to apply to also non-municipal works that might be parks and trails? Ultimately, it's not really clear what other obligation this requirement could be imposing with respect to consideration being given for ecosystem functions. So we are proposing to amend this particular exemption criteria, specifically that this would be better clarifying what this exemption criteria would apply to. So it sets out the construction, repair, maintenance, or alteration of public utility works, and that would include sanitary, sewer, stormwater, natural gas cable, electrical, telecommunications, roads, parkland, or trail works as well. So a bit clearer in terms of how this fits in relation to municipal works. It's also being proposed, and this is somewhat embarrassing, to address a typographical error where the OCP bylaw actually currently refers to the regional district instead of the town. So an important correction. Another amendment that is being proposed to the OCP relates to the urban containment area specific to Southeast Meadowlark. So as previously mentioned, in Southeast Meadowlark, there was that condition that was required by the ALC to delete certain parcels from the urban containment area. Now, the property at 9910 Highway 3 was one of those parcels that was intended to be removed. It's unclear to us how it ended up getting put back into the urban containment area, but certainly it should not be because the property is zoned agriculture and is wholly within the agricultural land reserve, and it does appear to currently be used for agricultural purposes. So we are proposing to remove this property from the urban containment area to reflect the ALC's previous decision, as well as to reflect the use of the property. Additionally, a municipal boundary expansion was completed back in 2024, which incorporated 2 parcels on Highway 3, being 4295 and 4303 Highway 3. These parcels were included in the new zoning bylaw map since we were doing the zoning bylaw update. However, the OCP maps have not yet been updated to include those parcels. So we are proposing to include them in all of the different map schedules, which is why this particular item is quite long. And these are the parcels shown here. They would be included as ag designated lands considering their agricultural nature. Now moving on to the zoning bylaw proposed updates. One of the things that we had flagged pretty early on in our involvement in the town's business licensing program administration specifically is on-site vehicle parking within the downtown core on Main Street. So on-site vehicle parking requirements are typically used so that you can ensure that developments are actually providing enough on-site parking to reduce the overall pressure of parking on public streets, and that would help maintain traffic flow, safety, and access. So the town does currently have exemptions that are set out in the zoning bylaw that are provided for residential uses in the downtown parking area, as shown on the right here. This exempts or provides reductions for apartment buildings and townhouse developments in that area where they're only required to provide one space per dwelling unit. If you're outside of this area, you'd be required to provide 1.5 spaces for those uses. So in doing a bit of a review, just looking at recent aerial imagery, it is noted that the downtown core along Main Street does contain a number of lots which have historically been developed to either 100% or nearly 100% parcel coverage, which effectively eliminates the ability to use these lots for any sort of on-site parking. Therefore, we are proposing a new exemption for specified parcels in that downtown area such that no off-street parking spaces shall be required for a change of use or an alteration of a building, provided that there's no increase in gross floor area, and no off-street parking spaces may be removed, repurposed, or rendered unusable. Just some implications, though, with respect to this proposed exemption. Really expanding an exemption would impact the ability of the town to collect cash in lieu contributions from those uses that have higher parking demands. And providing on-site parking in this area can, however, be challenging, and we recognize this again due to the historical built form in the area. These requirements are very challenging to meet at the time of business license application, where if you were to have a business that requires more parking than what was there previously, but they have no space on the lot, it's at that point you would not be able to be issued a business license. And I don't think that is really the intent of that's not the intended effect of the parking requirements in this area. And there's just a couple of other miscellaneous items with respect to those proposed zoning amendments. We did note that there was one piece of, it was a bit unclear in the small scale multi-unit residential zone. The minimum parcel size requirements for strata subdivisions was, it was set as 225 square meters, but it didn't indicate for what. And we are proposing to make it clear that that is for the purpose of the subdivision of duplex dwellings. Additionally, there was an unintended omission of public storage or maintenance and works yards as permitted uses in the general industrial zone, which had rendered that use non-conforming in some places. So we are proposing to correct that by putting that permission back in. And lastly, we are proposing amendments to the subdivision development servicing bylaw, namely with respect to standard drawings. So the standard drawings, the intent of this is to ensure that we have a uniform design specifications that are being applied to new developments. The current bylaw comprises about 49 drawings that relate to waterworks, sanitary sewer, storm sewer, road, and street lighting. However, this bylaw was originally from the 90s and does require significant updates. And this is just some examples of what our standard drawings currently look like, which are largely hand-drawn. However, new drawings have been prepared for the town, and that represents approximately 66 total drawings, which is 17 more than we currently have in our bylaw. And given, I think, some of the advancements in digital preparation of drawings over the years, the quality of these new drawings is significantly better than those that we currently have. So this is what an example of this looks like. So that is something that we are hoping to update. Additionally, the current bylaw does speak to very specific service providers of such, they're quite outdated, such as the West Kootenay Power, BC Telephone, BC Gas, and cable, specific cable television providers. So we're just proposing that these be updated to have more vague, or not vague, but broad language that encompasses this. Lastly, the subdivision development servicing bylaw includes a number of application requirements. However, these types of requirements are typically seen in a land use procedures bylaw. So we're proposing to move these requirements from the subdivision servicing bylaw to the land use procedures bylaw, and to update any outdated references to provincial legislation and town bylaws. So quick summary, because that one was a long one. What's being proposed under the OCP bylaw amendments is that we're clarifying ESDP and RDP exemptions. We're correcting references to the regional district, and we are updating OCP maps specific to the urban containment area and municipal expansion that had previously been undertaken. The proposed zoning bylaw amendments include the introduction of off-street parking exemptions downtown. They would clarify the minimum parcel size for strata subdivisions for duplexes and correct unintentionally excluded uses in the general industrial zone. And for the subdivision and development servicing bylaw amendments, that would be updating the standard drawings and service provider and legal references, and also moving application requirements to the land use procedures bylaw. So we are asking for council's direction, but we are proposing that we proceed with the initial readings of these bylaws. The OCP and zoning amendments do require a public hearing, and we're recommending that this take place on October 14th. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wong. You've done very well today. I can't believe it. You had all of those presentations done individually. Good. Thank you very much. All right, so we're looking at the recommended motion that we deal with all of those things and include a public hearing on October the 14th. Yes.
Question. With the zoning amendment with the on-site parking exemptions, if a business were to expand their footprint, which then removes one or two parking spaces, is there an option for the cash in lieu payment, or is this like completely like not allowed?
Yes, cash in lieu would be an option. There would also be another option of potentially varying the parking requirements as well.
Okay. You have yours on. Are you making a motion? Moving the recommended motion. Okay, seconding it.
And that, yes.
Okay, thank you. And any other questions, concerns? No? Okay, all in favor?
Support.
Thank you. You're okay, Jim? Thank you very much. Thank you, Shannon. I think that you're off the hook now. And next is the 5-year financial plan. And I think we're going to turn that over to. Oh, all right. So we're just looking at the bylaw to amend the town of Vesuvius respecting the 5-year financial plan. It was read a first, second, and third time on the 12th of August, and today we are looking at adopting this plan. Is there a, well, Councillor Poderica, you're moving that?
Thank you, Richard. Moving for adoption.
Thank you. And seconder, Councillor Chong, all in favor? Thank
Support.
you. Jim, you're okay with that? All righty. Next is the fees and services. Is that where I'm at? Oh, we didn't, nobody asked to speak to that one. Did I miss that? Okay. All right. So next is the recreational services fees and charges bylaw. And this is also, this is to amend it, and this is up for adoption as well, correct? Okay, so this was moved on the first, second, and third reading on the 12th day of August 2025, and we're looking to have this fees and services charge bylaw number 1180 adopted today.
So moved.
Thank you, Councillor King, Councillor Chong, all in favor. Thank you. All right. Where are we at next? There's too many pages in here. That's the problem. And now we're looking at new business. Am I correct? Mrs. Robinson, all right. And this time it would be Mrs. Keith that's going to talk to this one. Thank you. And this is the fire hall, and the fire hall first. Okay, go ahead, please.
Okay, so we're presenting to council the 2026 fire department budget. As seen in prior years, the fire department budget is prepared as a status quo budget, meaning the concept is it's the same methodology that's used from prior years. We use this strategy to provide financial stability and prevent any peaks and valleys that happen from a budget perspective. The operating budget incorporates CPI and salary increases as per the existing agreements that we have with staff and on-call. As you know, this department is a shared service department. So 58.9 is the town of Osoyoos, 19.5 the Osoyoos Indian Band, and 0.6 is the Osoyoos Rural Fire Protection District. Highlights of this budget, operating, we've implemented some reserves to fund fire equipment, which we've continued into 2026 at 338,000, first presented in 2025. And the purpose of the reserve again is for financial stability to prevent the peaks and the valleys. We've also added some fire engine repair and maintenance to support new capital. This year we have one new project projected, which is the Marine Rescue Craft fully fitted. We also have a grant application in to support this project. Do we want to speak to the equipment at this time being donated? Do you want to add anything on the donation?
Grant.
Yeah, this is a Marine Rescue Craft donated by the RCMP.
And
Yes.
it's being donated to the town or to the fire department? Or both?
Well, the town
Okay,
is the
For
fire
the
department.
for the,
Yes.
okay, but that's what I
So
thought.
any maintenance, anything that's required to bring it up to operations and keep it inspected will flow through the fire department.
So basically, I think this is a tremendous opportunity. It's something that the fire department has brought up on previous occasions. We are a resort municipality, and really our lifeblood is the water that is next to us. And fire department's been a bit handcuffed up until potentially this service package, and we have the opportunity to get a boat donated that's in pretty good condition. Needs a couple things, but this service package is dealing with that. And additionally, a lot of the equipment that's required for the firefighters to do these rescues is hopefully going to be paid for via grant. And so really this whole package is fairly inexpensive to offer pretty big service for not only residents but our tourists. We do realize that there will be some ongoing costs to maintain these things and that type of thing, but I think it's a tremendous opportunity to bring that service in to the fire service without a significant initial upfront capital cost. But it is a decision that council has to make, and whether they want to expand the service or not.
I had a question first, then we'll go. I wondered if the boat needed to be kept at the marina, and if so, does it need a berth down there? Is that how it's being used now, or is that what you see in the future? Can you answer that?
I
Or Chief
can, yes,
Captain?
Madam Mayor.
Sure, thank you.
We would need a slip for the boat during summer, or summer for the most part. It is currently being stored in the fire hall as of right now. The boat has been fully inspected. It's passed with flying colors at the donation of the inspector. He donated it to the fire department. He is a firefighter from Burnaby, so yeah. And we also have the grant for the equipment we've asked for $51,000. And we may not get the full, but we'll get I believe we'll get a good portion of it. So for our first watercraft, we're very lucky to have this option.
Thank you. And I was going to ask, I know that the RCMP boat that's down there requires, I think at least 2 people to go on it, which sometimes is a concern depending on how many staff are on. Is this the same requirement? You need at least 2 people, qualified people for marine rescue on the boat? Does that make sense, or
Yeah,
has
I
that
know.
been thought of?
We actually need more,
Oh.
and we've already trained this year. We've had a rescue company out of Vernon come in, and we've done our full training. So we have our department certified. We will have 5 on the craft at one time.
Thank you very much. Councillor Chong.
Thank you. What would be the approximate cost of purchasing an equivalent asset, brand new in today's numbers?
For the vessel itself could be $90,000, depending on how high end you go, and that's actually a low end. So 90,000 plus all the rescue equipment. We had everything you could think of that we put in the grant, and that was 51,000 for all the rescue, dry suits, everything, anything you can think of. We're looking probably 150,000 maintenance.
Good. Councillor Bennett, you had a question?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say congratulations, because this summer we had the incident where the sailboat went over and it happened to go into shore. And then the incident in Penticton where the one boat went over top the other boat. And you sit there and wonder if that happened out here, we'd be really in trouble with just one police boat and maybe only one police officer on board. So congratulations. I think it's excellent.
Can I ask, is it possible to have for other municipalities to ask for help and sort of mutual cooperation and lease the boat, or ask for your help to bring, has that been thought of? To, like if
Yeah, for
Penticton
sure.
needed some, yeah.
We'd have to pull it off our lake to go help
Yeah,
another community,
yeah.
but I'm sure we could get that put in a mutual aid contract with them.
Well, anything that we can do to work together, I think is really important. So thank you. So, council, we're looking at, anything, are we okay with this? Do we need to make is this just for information today, or do we need to make a motion? Go ahead,
There
Ryan.
was one more thing I wanted
Yeah.
to add, and I found it out today that Emergency Management British Columbia will also reimburse us for the use of the craft to do a rescue. It's not much, but it's something.
I think that's great. Good. Thank you very much. Okay, so this is just for information today, Mrs. Robinson. We're not voting on this.
Yes.
Okay. So it's just for information. There isn't
I
a,
believe it's for the report to be received.
okay, not a problem. And we'll deal with this one before the Sun Bowl. All right, is there anybody who would like to make that motion that we receive? Thank you. Councillor Chung, Councillor Poderica, that we receive the report. All in favor?
Support.
Thank you. Okay, now we'll go on to the highlights for the Sun Bowl Arena. Go ahead, Mrs. Keith, whenever you're ready.
Just waiting for the presentation to come up. Similar to the fire department, Sun Bowl is prepared in the same way. It's status quo with a CPI increase, as well as incorporating any type of agreements that we need to have in place for staff or relief workers. Again, status quo provides some fiscal stability. It allows us to fund our reserves and to ensure that we don't have any peaks and valleys when it comes to infrastructure that we needed or any type of operating budget. For 2026, the cost of the arena is shared again by the town of Osoyoos and Area A, 73.6 for the town and 26.4 for Area A. Highlights for this budget, we have operating, building and equipment increased to incorporate basic maintenance. In the past, I understand a lot of these expenses were incorporated as a capital project. However, this year we want to increase again that cost line to incorporate maintenance going forward. Capital, we have one new project, which is the direct digital controls subsidized by a Fortis rebate. And we have two carry forward projects, the heat exchanger and the roof replacement, which was presented in last year's budget. New to the budget, we increased our reserve funding. Again, the objective of reserve funding is to allocate funds annually to create financial stability and maintain service levels. This allows for greater flexibility, reduces the need for borrowing or unplanned increases in taxation. Any questions?
Thank you very much. Anybody have any questions of Mrs. Keith? Go ahead.
Were CPI adjustments not incorporated in the past?
They are generally from year to year.
Okay.
What we look at is actuals, and then we add another 2 to 2.6 to 3% year after year.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, so if there are no other questions, oh, go ahead, please, Mr. Davis, and welcome back. You've been on holiday. I hope it was nice.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You
Just wanted to say hello. No.
You didn't go to Disneyland with a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old like I did.
Oh, no.
Okay, fair.
I went to a different land.
Oh, okay. Well, that's your home province, so that's okay.
I just wanted to elaborate on Mrs. Keith's items in terms of the capital. We did receive a grant from Fortis. So we did an energy study and there were a number of items that we got approved. And then we signed an agreement with Fortis. The digital controls were one of those where we actually got an actual cost of 50,000, I believe. And they're paying us like 35 to 40,000. So it's quite a good turnaround, good grant opportunity. Thanks to Andrew and myself at the arena. I do want to just reiterate too that so this budget here now will go to the regional district, and they or yourself as part of the board will actually be, voting on that, I guess. So I don't know if in the past we actually just approved this as information or we actually approved it with an actual resolution.
Well,
I'm sorry, I don't quite remember, but you're right.
That's it, Gerald. What normally happens as well is once the those budgets are brought forward as received, they are incorporated into our 5-year plan.
Yes.
Which then goes to the readings and adoption and is officially presented in that way.
Yes. Okay. And I
So-
know that the budget for RDOS is, they're starting to do work on that now, so appreciate having this already done. All right, so what we're going to do is accept the highlights of that. No, we have a question first. Oh, you're
Accepting it for.
accepting it for
Leaving the
information.
report for information.
Thank you. Moved. Seconded, Counselor Bennett. All in favor. Thank you very much. All right, now we're going to go back to reports of committees and the committee of the whole. So we're going back to August the 12th. So there's a few of them here that need to be added. So we need it moved and seconded that a review of the metal storage container regulations in the town zoning bylaw be added as a strategic priority for 2026. So thanks, Ryan. So we need a mover and a seconder on this one. Thank you. Councillor Chong, Councillor Poderico, all in favor. Thank you. Next one, that the proposed amendment to the Osoyoos Land Use Procedures Bylaw number 1235.11 2025 be initiated. That's from the August the 12th. Councillor Bennett, Councillor King, all in favor. Thank you. And that council approve the recommended improvements to the effectiveness of corporate communication activities as outlined in this report, and that council approve the draft position description for recruitment of a corporate communications administrative coordinator, and that the improved effectiveness of the corporate communications activities be measured and reported to council in corporate communications quarterly reports. We have a mover and Councillor Poderica, Councillor Chong, all in favor. Thank you. And now from the Committee of the Whole of September the 9th, that the delegation of authority amendment bylaw number 1292.04 be initiated. Councillor Bennett, Councillor Poderica, I'm just going to pick two each time. Okay, all in favor. That bylaw number 1404, 2025, Town of Vesuvius delegation of subdivision parcel frontage exemption bylaw be initiated. Councillor King, Councillor Bennett, all in favor. Thank you. And that the amendment to the Town of Vesuvius zoning bylaw number 1395, 2024, to increase the maximum parcel coverage permitted at the Meadowlark development not be initiated. Okay, all in favor. Thank you very much. And now we will ask the CAO for a report.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, first, community services. We're still looking to see additional information with regards to Desert Park. We've met with an insurance adjuster and a structural engineer, and so hopefully we'll receive some additional news on that building soon. Couple things in the next little bit here. Kingsman Park, hopefully going to be installing some new playground equipment there within the next few weeks. The Meadowlark Playground, hopefully we're going to start some work there at the end of the month, early October, basically just a planting of grass type thing and the irrigation system. So looking to start that this fall. Some other things, Cactus Kids Camp ended on August 22nd, and I know we want to thank a lot of the students that we hired over the summer. They've got a busy job looking after a bunch of kids and keeping them active. I think could be an exhausting job. So big kudos to them. Family Splash Days, again, a big hit. Nestor's donated the hot dogs and water bottles and condiments. Gino's donated some cookies, and Rotary Club. They're always there. They cooked the hot dogs and handed out the food. Had a bouncy castle on July 24th. About 85 people attended. August 21st, about 77 people attended, and it was a puppet show put on by an indigenous group from Enderby. Some forward-looking things. Terry Fox Run is September 14th. And I'm sure council will talk about this, but September 19th is the community barbecue and movie in the park, and e-news just went out yesterday, I believe, on that. As far as new businesses in town, Tom Hood Roofing and Sunridge Restaurant opened the rest of the building. It's now the Coyote Ridge Pub. Change in business name. City's Credit Union is no longer, and it's Cascadia Credit Union. And just want to give a bit of a kudos to the community. The dog complaints have reduced a little bit. I know I've been talking about that for months, and the last little bit here we haven't had as many dogs running around. So great to dog owners and making sure their gates are closed and keeping dogs on leashes. We've got the fire department. Again, I was kind of talked about last go around, but it's kind of this report. They responding to the wildfire. Again, I can't really get tired of talking about that. It was such a huge success, and can't thank our volunteers enough, and BC Wildfire in the region for making that pretty much a non-event. And fire department again attended the farmers market in August, and we're at the senior center doing a Fire Smart presentation. So again, a lot of work within the community. Operational services, they are getting some other projects going. Council may recall approving a lift station flood remediation project that was the fully grant funded. So again, that's to elevate some of our infrastructure in case there is flooding. It won't get damaged and will continue to operate. So that's starting here pretty quick. The cemetery review project, there was some kickoff meeting on that. The transportation master plan and asset management plan in general for all transportation type stuff is just starting. And also meeting with the garbage cart supplier to finalize the dates. So hopefully the carts can arrive prior to year end and we can get those out. So there's operational services, a lot of things starting up now that we have one of the managers actually hired. And hopefully some good news to come shortly on that front. Also purchased the manhole smart covers. That's another thing that was done. Yeah, I just want to, I guess, identify a couple new staff, Scott Baker and Norm Card within the Sun Bowl Arena. And that's about all I got.
Thank you, Mr. Risling. Could we have a motion, please, to receive the CAO report for information? Councillor Poderica, Councillor Bennett, all in favor. Thank you. Now we'll go to council reports. Councillor Bennett, you're first.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. August 18th, and we met at Incaneve Cultural Center for their Whispers of the Tricksters. And it's a new theater that they have there. It's really cool. Kids are going to love it. It's a visual sound and connection of voice that share the stories of the Sydex people. So it's a really nice addition. I think it's going to really bring a lot more people to the Culture Center. And I'm sure Councilor Poderica will say more on it. And August 28th met with our MLA, Dongan Wilson, and informal meeting at council chambers. September 7th had a going away for at the Satan Club for Stan and Donna Storick. I just want to give them a big shout out because they've been doing that since 1963, and now their health is kind of forcing them to Calgary, but they had over 50 people there saying goodbye, so it was a very nice evening. And basically September 8th, last night I had a couple hour meeting with about the trails, and it's very exciting. The last 3 weeks we've had some good meetings with the MPs, MLA, the MOTT, and RDOS. So I'll bring a full report next meeting. And I want to thank administration very much for keeping all these bylaws and all this stuff today that Mayor Sue had to go through for this week instead of for when I was acting mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Chong. Councillor Bennett. Councillor Chung, you're next.
Thank you. Attended the Family Splash Day. That was, I think, August 21st with the puppet show. I have never seen my daughter sit still and watch a puppet show for that long without trying to destroy something. So it was really, really cool. So thank you for Rotary for helping with that, and also staff. August 23rd was our big beach volleyball tournament. So this year, I just personally want to thank my three directors, Shauna Dunkley, Nico Tramontanis, nailed it, and Michelle Fritz. This year we had 253 participants, 40 teams, 10 courts. I think we've maxed out on space there, but we'll see. Our prize table had over $7,500 worth of prizes from donations from local businesses. So it was amazing. Thank you, Tumbleweeds, and thank you, Backroads, for providing the libations for the day. So we also, with the supporting local physicians recruitment working group, multiple meetings because we have our medical residence tour tomorrow. So we have 6 medical residents who are starting a 6-month rotation for their 2-year family medicine residency. So this is their rural portion of their training. So they'll be split between Penticton and Oliver and SOGH. And basically, we're touring through Oliver and Asuyas, Karamias, and then we're going to be finishing with a networking event with all healthcare practitioners in the South Okanagan. Last year it was only Oliver, so it is huge that UBC Med School is giving us an academic day to do this tour, because they have a lot to learn and only a finite number of academic days. So thank you for Dr. Robin Craven, who's heading the whole initiative. She's also the one who is the lead physician for the Urgent Care Walk-in Center in Oliver. And last but not least, I do want to thank Staff Sergeant Beta for instrumental in the procurement of the watercraft. It's been an ongoing process for probably the better part of like a year. But he's always been advocating, especially to the feds for asset basically release, because usually after the certain event in Nova Scotia, the procedure was changed to the point where they just destroy everything. But he advocated for CIAs very hard, and also has been successful in recruiting new members for the RCMP as well. So we're going to see some new faces. Everyone, just be kind and be welcoming. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Councillor Chong. Councillor Poderica.
Thank you, Worship. You went away and things got busy for everybody else. August 14th attended on behalf of Mayor and Council. I mentioned last time, Home Hardware's 40th anniversary. Of course, their landmarks in downtown core. They had an awesome turnout that day. Lots of old staff that came in, and lots of memories, obviously, on the board from street dances and other events that they've hosted, and fundraisers and donations they made over the years. So again, thanks to the Solchik family for continuing on in that tradition. August 18th, and with Councillor Bennett, Ankeny District Cultural's Whispers of the Trickster unveiling, and it was so interesting. I got to see it a second time this last week, but really good turnout. It was great to see some members of the OIB. I know there was a pretty important day for the Baptiste family. One of their father's paintings from the Ankeny Day School had come back to them and to the community just about 3 days before. So for the first time, they got to see one of their dad's work. Pieces of art painted back, I believe, in the 30s. So it was a pretty emotional day for them to come back and have that painting there. And now it's in the repository of OIB's Ankeny Cultural Center and their new facilities and enhancements that they've made. August 28th, of course, attended the meeting here with Emily Donegal Wilson. On September 2nd, attended the SSMUH Public Information Meeting. September 5th, we had attended with CEO Risling, the C2C at Oliver, C2C with Oliver, CS, the CS Indian Band and the RDOS elected and staff. And it's a really good morning opportunity for us to talk about issues of mutual concern and opportunity. But I will say also it was great because we got to end the afternoon with a networking event hosted by Oliver Parks and Recreation. So Oliver had us up in the afternoon. I know some of our staff were able to join us, Councillor Chong, and explore some of their parks and recreation facilities, play some pickleball, and I know CEO Risling showed off his basketball skills that afternoon, and just a really good opportunity to network with elected and staff. And September 6th, SOS Pride Arts Festival here. Just thanks again to Juana and Silicon Smoking Pride. I believe it's their 4th annual this last weekend, and it was a good event. And again, to our staff, thank you. It was a busy summer. There's a lot of service demand, obviously, increase in staff, and whether it's some parks and recreation, whether it's some bylaw services or emergency service and our front counter. And again, thanks to all of you for all you great work you do representing this community. And of course, 2 weeks out, just less than 2 weeks out now, we're back in Victoria for UBCM. Some good meetings lined up, and always a great opportunity for us to plead our case for provincial government support and hopefully funding. So that's my report.
Thank you very much. Councillor King, do you have a report today?
Not really, other than I like to say it's really nice to hear how busy Osoyoos is and everything's moving, I would say, in a positive way. That's all.
Great. Thank you very much. We look forward to seeing you when you return. Okay, so my report, of course, I was away for a couple of weeks, but that didn't mean I wasn't online doing things because that happens as well. I have attended the BC government EMCR wildfire, river forecast, and drought reviews that they put on for mayors and chairs, and they do this every 2 weeks. So August the 20th and September 3rd. The only concern is they're always at 11 o'clock in the morning. And I also have the Border Mayors Alliance, which is held at 11 o'clock in the morning on those 2 days. So what I do is set up my computer here with one group and set up my iPad over here and try and take part in both meetings at the same. At the Border Mayors Alliance, the last one, they're of course, there's the ongoing issues with the United States and worrying about tariffs and that type of thing. Also, some issues with canola with China, and they're I think assuming that there could be quite a reduce finance in spending of about 7.5%. So lots of things that in Canada that may happen are probably going to be cut down a little bit. They're thinking of a full review of Canada-US-Mexico agreement in 2026, but they're not sure. Might come up faster than that. So BMA has been going for about 6 months now, and they're kind of wondering what will be the next step. So we paid a little bit of money towards this, and I've tried to attend most of the meetings. It was brought up that several of us from Border Mayors from BC were going to be at UBCM. So one of the people from Crestview Strategies that's looking after this is going to set up a meeting for us to get together there, which will be interesting, I think, to talk about how it affects BC. Most of the things that I've been listening to on these Border Mayor Alliance meetings have to do with Ontario and Quebec, because they have a lot of the manufacturing that goes back and forth. So that was interesting. I was also on the meeting with MLA Donegal Wilson. She was just filling us in on concerns that she had heard about water issues, land use issues, and milfoil. And I'll tell you that what she was also at the OBWB, the water board meeting the other day, and I introduced her to James Litley, who is the expert on milfoil. So she got all the things that she needed with that one. Regional district, the last meeting that we had for that was last week, and it was held in Osoyoos. They're trying to not only have it in Penticton at the regional district offices, but move it around to some of the municipalities. So it happened to be in Osoyoos that time. There was somebody did a presentation on radon, which we've heard that we're going to be involved in getting some of those kits here. And also Tracy St. Clair from Divisions of Family Practice came and talked to the whole regional district. She has also volunteered to come and talk to Osoyoos, and I will contact her and see if she would be available to come in October, along with the Dr. Jennifer Bajan, who works with her. So the Okanagan Basin Water Board was the annual general meeting and a board meeting. And I'm sure everybody's heard that Osoyoos got the award for the most pledges, and we're really excited about this. I was able to get up and explain how this happened and how we managed to get so many votes near the end, because it was the past mayor of Armstrong and me that had this little goings on, because for the last 6 years Armstrong has won. So he said if Osoyoos wins, he would bring cheese down here. And if Armstrong won again, I had to take wine up there. So I did actually go to the store and I bought the wine, but I'm happy to say that I am now going to share the wine and the cheese when we get it, and we can enjoy it here. So that was really cool. You can continue to pledge on WaterWise until October the 20th, because anybody who has pledged at that point is eligible for 2 $500 gift cards to WaterWise projects. So well done, Asuias, because we got more pledges per capita than anywhere from Armstrong down. So I was at the Pride Arts Festival on Saturday. It was the 4th annual. There were lots of donations from local businesses, including Asuias, because we donate money from the RMI fund. I did bring some greetings from the town, and I also walked in the parade with Weena, and we held the banner and we did a little parade around too. So that was a very nice event, and it wasn't super busy when I was there, so I'm hoping it was for the rest of the day. So it happened to be a very nice, calm, quiet day, and it wasn't too hot. So I was also on an international Asuias Lake Border Control meeting yesterday, because next week we are having the annual meeting in Asuias. So on Tuesday night, we're going curling. Most of these people haven't gone curling, so basically I'm going so I can keep score, because none of them have a clue, and because I'm a director on this. And then the AGM and our meetings are on Wednesday, and there is a meeting on Wednesday night. That's the 17th. It's at the Sonora Center. Anybody is welcome to attend. There's lots of information about how water projects and in the South Okanagan lake levels and all of that. Anybody who's interested, please go on and have a look at it. It's advertised in the paper, and that'll be very interesting. So that is on the 17th, next Wednesday. And I think that's all that that I had. So I will now move to the in-camera section. Pursuant to Section 91 of the Community Charter, a part of the council meeting may be closed to the public if the subject matter being considered relates to one or more of the following. 91A, personal information about an identifiable individual who holds or is being considered for a position as an officer, employee, or agent of the municipality, or another person appointed by the municipality. 91G, litigation or potential litigation affecting the municipality. 91K, negotiations and related discussions respecting the proposed provision of a municipal service that are at their preliminary stages, and that in the view of the council could reasonably be expected to harm the interests of the municipality if they were held in public. So could I have well, thank you. Councillor Poderica, Councillor Chong, all in favor. Thank you.